Now, I normally don't review books just because I think this is very subjective, but since this is more of a collector's item and I've done reviews of collector's items in the past, like Legend of Zelda collector's guides, I figured why not for this particular product. So I had recently gotten into the Naruto anime and I was looking for a nice reference book, but this particular one, just full disclaimer, follows more of the manga interpretation, so things like the Shadow Clone Jutsu in the anime is actually called Shadow Doppelganger, and they're going to use Konoha versus the village hidden in the leaves, stuff like that. This book is one of the very few collectible reference books that was written directly by the actual author of Naruto himself, and was actually referenced a couple times in the Omaki of the Naruto Shippuden anime in episodes 99 and 137. So this is actually a really cool data book that fans definitely would enjoy, and I got it for a steal myself off Amazon for just under $9, and I think currently it's still that price, so if you're a Naruto fan, I would definitely jump on it. As usual, I'll put the link in the description. So I'd like to just start off this video talking about the exterior of this book. It does only come in paperback just like the mangas, and it doesn't come vacuum sealed or anything, it's just a regular book basically, but at least on the outside it does have a little bit of embossing, especially in the titles. Outside it is also more of a matte finish, but it is the water resistant kind of material. On the back it clearly says that this reference guide only covers up to volume 43, so that's about sometime during the 4th Great Shinobi War. Now, opening up this book, it reads from right to left the Japanese way. You're first greeted with several pages of beautiful artwork of famous scenes from the manga. These few pages are printed on glossy paper and is in full color, which is really nice. But then afterwards, it's back to the black and white in pretty basic paper stock. So here's the table of contents, and it's kind of a mess. I'm not too sure if it's just because it was translated into English, but in general the structure is not very organized. I would have liked to see that each section would have its own tab kind of visible on the side, so I can easily flip to that area, say jutsus or shinobi characters, or to also have a laminated colored section page similar to the beginning, just to differentiate between each section. Each of the main sections have its own key that they explain what the symbols are. So for example, the first section here is on the shinobi characters, and you can see there's a skill parameter diagram here that details the key attributes of a ninja, and it's a little bit more detailed than what you saw in the anime on Kabuto's cards, as you can see here, but I do appreciate they insert a lot of interesting tidbits of each individual character, like birth date, their preferences, even their blood type and all of that. More key characters obviously have a few more pages than others depending on their screen time. For the most part, the English translation is pretty good. I did notice one little error here in the height for Aoba. They list him as over 6 feet tall, which is definitely not true if you do the conversion from centimeters to feet. I only noticed this because I had just seen Ibiki's height in the previous page, and this would make him taller than Ibiki, which is definitely not true. But unfortunately, I think there are missing quite a few key characters, such as Zabuza, Haku, the parents of the main Rookie 9, for instance, Hinata Hyuga's father, Hiyashi, and also the Inoshika Cho, Shikaku, all of them. So I feel like this is missing quite a few characters, and they mention a couple of minor characters I wouldn't even care about too. So hopefully they'll cover everybody in the next iteration, since the series is over now. And the next section after the Shinobi characters are Shinobi Faqs. So this is basically just some small history lessons, backstories, and none of this is really groundbreaking. If you follow the anime or if you read the manga, you most likely would know all of this. But anyways, not to get too caught up on that, here they have a little progress chart of some of the key Naruto characters. They didn't do it, unfortunately, for every single character, but at least you can see some of the key characters and how they have changed in terms of their statuses. And here is just a height comparison chart between Naruto and his closest friends. Interesting enough, at this time Shino was actually the tallest of the bunch. And then the next main section is based on jutsus, which is really interesting in my opinion. They have it also ranked from E to kind of forbidden level or hidden level, and it's basically loosely organized by chakra nature, but it's missing again a couple jutsus that I would have liked to have seen, like Tamari's Wind Scythe Jutsu, the 8 trigrams rotation, or the 8 trigrams 64 palms. It's also, once again, if you haven't noticed throughout this whole book, it's not in any kind of alphabetical order. Maybe it is for Japanese, but it's definitely not for English. So you're going to have to rely on the index, which comes right here, and it's not at the very end of this book either. You kind of have to find it, and once again, since there's no kind of side marking to indicate where the index is, you just kind of have to flip through a couple pages until you find it. And then the index, fortunately enough, is in alphabetical order. English is alphabetical order. But you also have to kind of know what to look for. For instance, Tsunade is listed under 5th Hokage and not under T, stuff like that. But after the index, there's all these extra stuff, which is also really interesting that any fan would find really appealing. For instance, this brief relationships chart between the key characters, and then there's also readers' favorites. So they basically had polls out there, and readers would submit what they thought. It's really similar to superlatives in yearbooks, in my opinion. And then we have a Naruto Dictionary, which is just to define a couple terms that show up throughout the series. And then some nice little sketches of, again, the key 13 characters in Naruto. There's even this extra manga on Kakashi's face, just because everybody's always curious about Kakashi's face, even though it's technically has already been revealed. And then finally, of course, you get advertisements, and at that time it's advertising a couple Wii games. And then you can also see the translation credits to English and the edition. So you can see I have the 2018 print. So after reading through this, I definitely really enjoyed this. I think this is something any Naruto fan can appreciate. I definitely do also think there's room for improvement, just especially in the organization. There's definitely a lot of things packed in here. It would have been nice if I could, find it better, because it is a reference book. But each page is just packed full of information. It has, scenes from the manga there, and overlaying text and bubbles all over the place, which also kind of makes it a little bit difficult to read, but it definitely does hold true to the theme of a typical manga. So in conclusion, if you're looking for, some fun facts about key characters, jutsus, their history on Naruto, you definitely will be happy with this purchase. Don't be blown away with the level of insight, though. I think personally, even if you haven't watched Naruto every single episode or read every single manga, it doesn't contain too many spoilers, I think, but this is definitely one of the most comprehensive book we've gotten out of Kishimoto, and I think it's definitely worth the $9 price that you can get off Amazon right now. For a data book, again, I just wish that everything was a little bit easier to find, and maybe for the next one, since the series is over right now, that they would include all the possible characters, all the possible jutsus, and all of that. So Kishimoto or Viz Media, I hope you're watching this video. Keep my ideas in mind for your next data book. Anyways, again, I'll put the Amazon link for this one in the description.